And there are no authoritative maps or treaties that the UN could have consulted while determining this line of withdrawal. In the absence of these documents, the UN decided to use its own maps that at least twice were sanctioned by Syria, Lebanon, and Israel. This is the 1974 disengagement agreement between Syria and Israel, and the 1978 map that determined UNIFIL, the United Nations Force in Lebanon, areas of responsibility in southern Lebanon. These maps, and in fact the vast majority of all maps produced by Syria, Lebanon, and Israel and others, placed the southwestern slopes of Mount Hermon within the Syrian Golan Heights. Consequently, this region that we now identify as the Sheba Farms was left under Israeli occupied Golan Heights. This is a map that I took from a Lebanese site, but it's fairly decent and accurate. You see here the blue line. This is the area that more or less Lebanon claims as territory that should be under its control, the Sheba Farms. And this is the area that we will focus on in our presentation, the Ghajar pocket, which also Lebanon claims, at least in part, is under its own, should be under its sovereign territory. In this process, the UN decided to partition the village of Ghajar based on three reasons. First, UN maps, as I've already said, from 1974 and 1978 showed the boundary line crossing the village. You can see Al-Ghajar here, and you can see the boundary line crossing one urban space, or one constructed space. Second, the argument went that the northern part of Ghajar inside Lebanon is in fact a Lebanese village called Al-Wazani that merged with Ghajar in the south. This also showed on UN maps. I think Al-Wazani here is capped, but you can get the sense that this is in fact a Lebanese village and not part of Ghajar. And third, another related argument said that Ghajar expanded into Lebanon during the long years of Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon. Quick reminder, from 1982 until 2000, Israel occupied a belt, a self-proclaimed security belt inside Lebanon. The boundary line became irrelevant, and the villagers simply took advantage of this, so the argument goes, and simply expanded slowly into Lebanese territory because Israel was in control of both sides, the Israeli side and the Lebanese side, within the context of the security belt. I have here a map produced by the UN that describes it very, very clearly. You can see here the blue line. You can see here the blue line. You can see here the village of Ghajar. This is the southern section of the village, and this is the northern section of the village. And all three arguments, they should basically converge here. The claim was, this is Ghajar, this is actually Al-Wazani, either a Lebanese village, or that Ghajar simply slowly but surely built into Lebanese territory and basically merged with the village of Al-Wazani. However, in my article, I make the argument that the UN was mistaken, as you were already told, in partitioning the village for 5 reasons. First, UN maps of 1974 and 1978 are based on a cartographic mistake that began showing in maps as of 1963. And we will go back to the 1963 map in a second. This mistake was perpetuated in Israeli maps as of 1967 onwards, and from there passed on to many other maps, including those of the UN. Second, there is no Al-Wazani village north of Ghajar. There is only a northern neighborhood of Ghajar that has existed there at least since the 1950s. The only Al-Wazani village that does exist is a tiny Bedouin community west of Ghajar on the other side of the Hasbani River that is called also Arab El-Weza. And you can see it here. This is Al-Hasbani, the river. This is the Bedouin community that sometimes is called Arab El-Weza, other times is called Al-Wazani. After the water spring, that is here, just here. water spring, a very important water spring, one of the three most important springs that flow into the Jordan River into Israel. The third point, Syria was in control of Ghajar in its entirety when Israel occupied the village in the June 1967 war. Furthermore, this control was accepted by Lebanon. Ghajar did not expand, the fourth point, Ghajar did not expand into Lebanon with the Israeli occupation of South Lebanon. Its residents built in the northern neighborhood during these years, but only infilling the area that has already been historically part of the village. And finally, my fifth point, there are extreme inconsistencies in maps that depict Ghajar. Until 1967, some maps place Ghajar in Lebanon, others in Syria, but with the absence of an authoritative boundary treaty between Syria and Lebanon, and with so many maps showing so many alternative routes, any boundary line would be arbitrary there. I will take you through some maps to elucidate my point here that I hope will make things clearer. And we'll start with the oldest map that I mentioned in the article that is very, very important for those of you who study cartography in general and Lebanese mapping in particular. Oh, sorry. This is an aerial map of the village that actually shows very, very clearly what I was saying. This is the village of Ghajar. You can see here seemingly two different villages. The southern village under Israeli control, the northern village under Lebanese control, and you can see the blue line. You don't see it here, but the blue line basically crosses the village in this way. The Al-Wazani spring is just below here, and you can see also very well Arab el-Weza, the Bedouin village just here, or Al-Wazani, depends who you ask in South Lebanon. Somebody had a question? It depicts very, very clearly the village. This map was taken in 2000 by the UN team that determined the line of withdrawal there. This is a portion of a very important map of Lebanon, as I've already said, the 1862 map of Lebanon that was created during, or that was surveyed during the French military intervention in Lebanon in 1860. What you see here is the southwestern section of this map. I zoom in the area that concerns us of this map. You see here the village of Ghajar. You see here Metula, for those of you who are familiar with the region. You see here Banyas, and you see here Loeza, mentioned here in this map. This is a map from 1862, and again, it's actually very interesting to look at this map because whoever drew this map actually placed Ghajar fairly prominently on the map itself. Forgive me for the bad quality, but this is a product of French archives. You go to French archives and there are no really good facilities. This is a map that you can find in Nantes that was an annex to the edict that proclaimed the establishment of the state of Lebanon. The 318, very famous edict where Gouraud announced the establishment of the state of Lebanon, and also a drawing of the boundaries of Lebanon. You see here Ghajar here, just here. More or less in the tri-border region, or a seemingly tri-border spot, sorry, between Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine in those days. I'll take you back for a second, just to refresh our memory. You see Ghajar here, right? Ghajar is not at the tri-border spot, and in fact it is right where what I call the bend, or the knee, where the boundary descends from Mount Hermon, reaches the Hasbani River, and then goes further south. So remember this knee, and remember that Ghajar is not on the spot of the tri-border meeting place. And now we go back to this map, and you see Ghajar all the way down, and the knee is actually about 5 kilometers north of Ghajar. The beginning, basically, of major mistakes